Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lunchtime special podcast. A show about life, death and everything in between. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey guys, and welcome to our Lunchtime special podcast, the show that delves into the mysteries of life, death, and everything in between. I'm your host, Surenga, and today our team will be discussing artificial intelligence. AI has been in the forefront of our conversations in our recent times in media as well, especially with Google doing its keynote recently 2 weeks back in terms of the prototype and demo of their Google Assistants. So I thought with today's podcast, we'll start discussing about AI's, its benefits, its disadvantages, and what everyone thinks about the technology in general. So before we dive into discussions, I want to introduce our panel and start from our left-hand side, even though you guys won't be able to see. You got Ian.
Hi, everyone.
Atish.
Hey, team.
Spiro.
G'day.
So let's go around the table and find out from everyone, out of the current AI technology that we do have, what are the ones that they think is the best? For example, it could be Siri, it could be Google Assistant, it could be Uber, it could be Tesla's automation. Out of all that, what is your favorite AI tool at the moment and why do you think so? And it might be also some suggestions for future technologies as well. Ian, would you like to start off?
The way that I view it, the best AI technology is the AI technology that you don't know is happening. Something like Siri is very obvious and very in your face in some ways. And eventually, when we maybe 20 years' time, when the next generation is just raised through this technology, that Siri to them will be invisible. It won't be a person or a robot that it's interacting with. It's just a part of life. Whether there's an AI technology that I can say off the top of my head that is currently contributing to my life, I'm not too sure. But there's a very high chance that there's a lot of things happening in the background that I'm not aware of that may subconsciously be helping my life out. So it's probably not the answer that you want, but at the same time, it is a hard one to answer. I'm not necessarily a technophobe, but I wouldn't say that I actively go out using the technologies like Siri, like Google Home, or anything like that at the moment.
Nice. How about you, Tish? Do you at the moment actively using any AI technologies, and do you have a preference for any of them?
All right. So I'm not sure that if you are narrowing down your question and scope, Suranga, that would be an injustice to my opinion. So let me have a free flow on this topic.
Sure.
And let me go by the literal definition of what artificial intelligence is named at is artificial intelligence is applied when a machine mimics cognitive functions that humans associate with other human minds, such as learning and problem solving. Now, if you put this statement into a broader perspective, try to look from an objective perspective on the areas where a cognitive function that was triggered by a human mind is being replaced by an intelligence which is working on its own. Look into the transportation system. What a man was doing 50 years before for you is being done by the machine. For example, ticket collection. Look into the food. What was done by the human brain by chewing the food, that is being done by artificial intelligence. That means that is being done by machines. They are processing your food on the behalf of your own action of chewing and processing the food. That is also an example of artificial intelligence. Don't you think so?
So I think that there has to be a clear delineation between something that is programmed like a machine versus something that can come up with solutions without human intervention. That to me is the difference.
Well, see, there is a difference. I do not deny that, but you need to look into where things actually, where the foundation got laid upon. So we have got areas where artificial intelligence started taking place back in time. I mean, the term artificial intelligence and its research, it got conceptualized and triggered in 1950s.
Yeah.
Where the US defense system, they put a heavy weight on it and got multiple laboratories established around the globe for their vested interests. So artificial intelligence is not a newbie to us here, right? It is here for the last 70, 80 years.
That's right.
Yeah. we are actually being so much familiar to it today that, oh, artificial intelligence here, artificial intelligence there.
Because we are seeing that on a day-to-day basis now on our mobile phones, smartphones. It is now in the main arena.
Because now your mainstream life is actually being touched by it from morning to evening. Before it was not that, you never cared about it.
That's right. We always did have that in the background where the machinery was taking care of the human actions and assisting the humans try and get their day-to-day lives completed in a smoother way. So with that in mind, I want to move into the area of the automation part of things, job automation, and how is the machine taking over, and is this something which is good for as a human race? This is something that we should be heading towards, or do you guys think that is making humans less dumber in that situation?
I'll jump in on this one if I can.
I will put few lines, Spiro, on this, that before you get into the pros and cons and benefits and losses, first you should understand what it actually is. So I would like, Spiro, to put some light on it's actually, we need to articulate what it means before we get into its like benefits and its deficiencies.
Sure.
Yes, Spiro, what do you think on it?
When you talk about automation, we've been automating things for a very long time. Technically, a milling stone attached to a donkey is automated grinding of wheat into flour. Again, it's an old concept, just using more modern technology in our time now. The idea of automation is just to make a repetitive task faster and easier and more and clearer to do and more consistently over time. That is just general progress that will happen whether we have a computer attached to it or not. We just want to make the job better.
Yeah, so this is exactly the point that I was trying to make earlier about how we need to separate between mechanical automation and artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence implies decision making. This is what something like a donkey grinding a millstone or even any kind of generic task being done by a computer, that's something where the decision has already been made by the person that programmed that particular program. What artificial intelligence does, it makes a decision for you and it's thinking for you, and that's the clear delineation between the two. So a good example would be something that Google has done is it can detect where you live, because obviously you take your phone home, you sleep with your phone at home, it can tell due to the fact that nighttime your phone is in a location, that's where you live. Now what it does when you Monday to Friday go to work, it can also tell, because between 9 to 5 you're in another location, so it reasonably predicts that you're at work. Now, this is where the AI part comes in. It knows that you leave for work at 7:30 because your GPS starts tracking you heading to the location which is determined as your work. And now it will tell you, you don't want to go the normal route that you go because there's currently an accident. You need to change your route and go this other way. Now you, as a person, may have just gone the normal route, or you may have decided to go another route because you've received information, say on the radio, telling you about this accident. But what's actually happening now is Google is deciding how you get to work. The interesting part about that is the factors that determines why getting to work that particular route is better than another route is also, I guess, unbiased and unemotional in some ways, because it's literally saying you want to get to work faster, go this other way. You may have a reason not to go the other way. Perhaps you know that there's more traffic lights, or you know that you need to fill up your petrol and you know that the other route doesn't have a petrol station. But you may also not know that, and then in fact the intelligence that Google has provided has now determined your life path of getting to work. So
you raised two good points there, Ian. One is the fact that the role of AI, is it to decide for us, or is it to assist us in deciding things? The other part of it is the more the data and the invasion of privacy and that sort of things as well. So, for example, we take Google as an example. The fact that it is storing your data, knowing where you live, knowing where you work, that's sort of giving up that sort of data to assist you in decision making and making your life easier. Is that a good balance? Is that something that we should be embracing, or should we be going back into our normal day-to-day tasks and back into our old way of living and just not rely on the assistance of artificial intelligence and rely on our own human instincts?
Look, I think that humans in general have a very difficult relationship with the idea of privacy, because on the one hand, people really don't want to give up their email addresses when they're speaking to a particular company, which may actually really help them because that company will then subsequently provide them with excellent deals. Yeah, at the same time, they're happy to post that they got sloshed on a Friday night and met some random girl and whatever happened. And that information is also almost
stored in the cloud.
Exactly. And that information can be used in ways that that person never had expected or intended. So I think that the psychology of giving up information is quite crazy. But at the same time, I don't think that we generally ever know how much information we're really giving up. The only reason I know about the Google thing is because Google told us. But if Google hadn't told us and they were collecting this data in the background, which may seem innocuous, like you give up your address all the time, people probably could figure out where you work through LinkedIn. None of this information is really that secret, but it's the ability to decide, which I think is probably the critical factor here.
Yeah, I think the more centralized it becomes, the data, the fact that if there is one central repository of data and one can access an individual information in one area rather than being distributed on multiple servers and clouds, that is a huge factor in terms of giving your data away. But that said, on our day-to-day transaction of any site, not just Google, we are giving away data in order to gain information. So it's a transactional scenario. But do you see that we are losing touch of our own human nature in that sense, Atish?
Well, the human touch, diminishing or losing human touch due to artificial intelligence. As I always say, we should look at it from the beginning perspective, that when a human touch is engaged with something, it's touching something, exchanging, interacting, it inculcates, it develops everything, like from an evolutionary perspective. For example, whatever we do, we become good at that. When mimicry intelligence would swap you and would start to do your work and will make you comfortable sitting in your sofa from morning to evening, Monday to Sunday, first to last of the month and whole of the year, in turn, slowly, you are losing that touch feeling, that interactive feeling, that interactive inculcation. What inculcates in you by being interactive with the subjects and objects around you, slowly, this ripple effect will take place. And yes, people are losing, if you look 20 years back, and people will lose the human touch, which is sadly not good for human race.
I think that so just to interrupt you, but I think that everyone yearns for the good old days. Like I feel like everything in hindsight seems like it was better back in the day. You know, everyone talks about how, back in the day, we had more social interactions with people face to face. But then at the same time, in the current scenario where we can talk to people anywhere across the world, that's just as amazing. And you can have scientists from one side of the world to the other discussing theories. So I think technology as a dehumanizer, I'm not sure if that's true. I think that some aspects of humanity are enhanced by technology. Whether AI is making decisions for you ultimately frees you up to be more human. Maybe if you've got an artificial intelligence in your fridge that determines that you've run out of milk and that you need more bread and that you like eating pasta. So it knows all this thing about your kitchen, and so it just does a shopping list for you and then purchases your food. In a way, that means that you now suddenly have more time to go hang out with your friends if you like. So that increases the ability to have the human connection. Where it can go wrong and where I think it's dangerous is that how these decisions are made are always very logical, whereas humans are obviously very complicated and emotional creatures. So what I think might be scary is if we have an AI that can not only read the factual things in your life, but also can read your emotions and then react on that. What do you think, Sparrow?
Once AI...
Before Spuro, you jump in, I would like to put one word here first. Not one word, few words for Ian.
You only get one word.
So he's like getting from multiple fronts to artificial intelligence, and that's very good. Keep it on. Let me add one sentence here. So last time, when did you use your pen to write a 2-page of essay or 2-page of a story? Maybe months back, years back. All our children in schools and in our corporate culture, in our industries, they're not using pen anymore. They're all using systems. And this system is operated by an intelligence, kind of artificial intelligence, which is banking upon electricity. Now, consider this human race, which is actually collecting all the knowledge into databases and systems, and this all get burst out at one point of time, all crashes. And because all is connected to each other across the globe, you lose everything in once. Everything gets crashed. Now, in the 50 years timeline or 100 years timeline, as you have lost the habit of writing, you're not